And for me, I mentioned at the beginning that I didn't know how to say no, and that I always was used to say yes. And maybe now today I maybe say too many no's instead of yeses, because sometimes I've been told that my first impulse is to say no. And I thought about that just recently, actually, because the power of no came up as a topic for the Sparkle Source, which is my monthly newsletter. And the power of no, we've heard all about the power of yes, being able to say yes to what shows up and to empower yourself to go after the opportunity. And yes has a beautiful energy. It's that expansive energy of opening up to possibilities and to going above and beyond what you think you're capable of, taking on challenges that you step up and into. And that's expansive. And that is a great thing. It is. It is. If you want to make forward motion into your goals and your dreams, that is a wonderful thing. The no's, the ability to say no, it has a different flavor to this. It's more, this no I'm talking about, it is that no of embodiment. It's taking in your whole self as a container and being able to look at it through a connected and in tune, self-aware, uh, comprehensive view of what your personal stated. It is an embodiment of all that you are, your values, your energy level, your dreams, your hopes, your direction, your purpose. It's that know that takes into account your bandwidth, your boundaries, and also that feeling inside of you that is your gut, your knowing, your intuitive sense of what is safe and what is unsafe or not healthy for you, or what is right and what is wrong from an integrity point of view. So all of this is why I say that no, it's not no for the sake of saying no because you're lazy or you just don't want to do something. It's a no of that soulful, loving no that really wants to respect others, desires and is there for others, but at the same time takes into account how best to support you, serving in the best way others, doing your whatever those actions are that you decide to be involved in, or situations or events or work that you go into. So it's that overall, if you will, consideration in coming to a yes or a no. And you might think it's a simple thing, but I hazard a guess to say that if you are feeling burnt out, if you're feeling depleted, if you're feeling stressed and that you're not sure which way is up, that if you consider why you're in this particular state, it's because you've been unable to, or you've had to be saying yes to too many things and not able to, even when you could, you have not been able to just without any story just say no, I can't, maybe next time, or this is what I have on my plate, this is what you asked me to do, this is either I do this and that, or this and that, or it's just standing up and saying no, I can't. And I'll give you an example. Well, it isn't the example, it is the reason why. When I was in university, I learned the very hard lesson that I needed to know how to say no, and I needed to have a process through which I would get to my yes and stand in my no. And maybe this example will help you to look back on your life too, and maybe determine if you're still saying too many yeses, and if your yeses impacted you in a way that maybe similar to how it impacted me. And from here, making a decision to look at how you want to be making decisions going forward, and perhaps sparkle frequency can help as we get into that part of this podcast. So what happened was, I had in my first year of university, I came down with what I guess nobody really wants to come down with, which is, I think it was either chicken pox or measles, but I think it was chicken pox. And because of that, I had to leave the university for a few weeks until I got better. And then when I was about to come back, the dean of sciences called me into his office and advised me to take the year off because I had missed too much in all my science subjects, and the exams were just a week or so in the future. And I said to him that 2 weeks off was not a big deal, and that I would be okay, and that I would continue. And what occurred was, I was just doing fine, except for I was in a girls' dorm, and I had a classmate who knew I was good at biology. And midnight to about 4 a.m. in the morning, she had been in school the whole time, and I had got notes and I knew the stuff, but I wanted to review the material before the exam the next morning. And when I set my mind to something, I get it done. And what happened was, she came into my room, knocked on my door about, pardon me, about 4 times to get me to help explain things to her in the middle of the night, when I should have been doing my own review. And I should have told her no, and I would have been okay, except I didn't tell her no. And what happened was, I was determined to get through all the material. And so I ended up not sleeping enough, and at the exam the next day, I could not even stay awake, much less do the exam. And for the first time in my life, I failed at something, and it was devastating because I had never failed an exam. And normally I go like this, and I flip through things, and I study. I can pick up concepts really fast, but I was so tired I couldn't even think to read the question on the exam paper. And after that happened, it was a difficult journey to get my self-confidence back, because that does something to you when you flunk a course, putting it mildly. And I learned from that how to say no, and that I had to say no, and the parameters around saying no and when to say yes. And maybe if you look back in your life, maybe you have a time when you know that everything told you should have said yes, and you should have said no, but you said yes, and in the aftermath of it, it affected you or someone else close to you, or your dreams and your hopes, and therefore you didn't quite make what you had dreamed or hoped about because of that not saying no at that time. And so as we talk about this, if you have any questions, you can pop it in the chat, and if not, send me an email, info@mentormem.com, if you have a question. I'll be happy to go a little bit deeper. I cover this in my Be CEO of You 90-day program, which is right now open for enrollment until the end of this week. You can find more information about that at https://bceo.com on the screen. And why this is important is because no, being able to say no, it's really sacred. It allows you to stay at your optimum level of performance. And it's a very misunderstood, misused, and underestimated impact of saying yes when you should have said no. That no can also, when you say it, if you haven't gone through the thought process and all the analysis of when you should or shouldn't say no, what often happens when you say no is you can be ridden with guilt or feelings of inadequacy or all of these feelings of maybe not doing your part, and there's that guilt. And it can also put you in unsafe situations when someone orders you to do something in an unsafe situation in a work environment, for example, which is where that sometimes happens. And if you're unable to say no and stand in that no, then it could put you in jeopardy of your safety. So this is the reason why I wanted to talk about no, because we're often rewarded in the work environment for being agreeable, even in personal life, for being agreeable, for adapting, for overgiving, but really to be able to look out for others and yourself and being able to use that no word when it is warranted is being in alignment and following what your system, your nervous system, your whole body is telling you, when sometimes it's screaming at you by a feeling you have to say no, and you are going against it by doing what it is that your body is saying no to. So this is me asking you to pay attention to your body, to what your sense is, to test out whether you should say yes or no, and to be able to feel good about when it is that it comes to you that you need to feel good about being able to say no, hold firm to your boundaries, not make it an overextension of your bandwidth, your energy, and thinking of it as a limitation or something that is not good by saying this no, because you're not being all and everything to everybody. Again, to make sure that when you say the no, it's clear, it's coherent, it's unapologetic, where you just state it, and there doesn't need to be a story when you're standing in who you are in alignment with your values, and you're grounded and centered in just being present. Okay, so that's really what I wanted to cover today in this episode. And this is one of the core sparkle frequencies, as I mentioned. If you're not sure what your yes feels like, then try on some questions around decisions by saying yes and seeing what you feel in your body, and then saying no and seeing if you feel light or heavy. So typically, if it's not good for you, you'll feel a sense of heaviness. And then if it is good or better for you, you'll feel a lightness, like being outside in fresh air and really enjoying the space you're in. So having said that now, there are a lot of points that can be made around the no situations, and I have a bunch of those that if you would like to get a copy of the pointers on how to feel good about saying no, you can DM me and I will be happy to email you the list. Okay, so